was Bon Voyage by Karo Samaha. And now we're moving on to take headlines across Africa. Today we're literally moving on to Benin, Eritrea, and Seychelles. That's where we'll actually be reading from. So let's start. We'll start, but before that, let's take headlines across.
Headlines across Africa.
Headlines across Africa.
Headlines across Africa.
Headlines across Africa.
Well, moving on, we're starting from let's go to Benin first, and then we'll read from the La Nation newspaper. And the headline says National Masters Exam 2020, a drop in the number of candidates in the courses. Well, the National Masters Exams takes place from 25th to 26th February 2021 in Benin. For this edition, 620 candidates make up in 40 sectors distributed, and in the lot there are 223 girls and 397 boys. We're seeing a slight decrease in the number of candidates compared to last year. This was said by Julien Badgoudi, an exam supervisor, and he noted that in 2018 there were 833 candidates, and in 2019 the number was 766. A decline whose causes have not yet been identified has actually been realized. And for this edition, various actors have been mobilized to meet the challenge of the flawless organization. Albert Gandono, president of the Association of Private Higher Education Institutions for Ethics and Quality, recognizes the seriousness and rigor that characterizes the organization. He is satisfied and welcomed the involvement of the head of state in the implementation of the reforms that are underway in the sector of private higher educational institutions. Well, that's a story coming from the La Nation newspaper in Benin. One thing about education is no matter what you do, we have to make sure that we have the right things being done, and the right things should always be put in place. So I believe they should actually look at what can be done. They should make it an effort to ensure that the right things are actually put in place, so that the number that has actually reduced would in its own place increase. If it's probably because people have lost interest in probably taking that particular course, or there's some form of burden or problem, it should be addressed, and then the right thing should be done. Well, moving on to Eritrea, where we're reading from the Tesfa newspaper. And the headline says Ethiopia urges international reporters in Tigray respect law. Now, the Ethiopian Broadcasting Authority, EBA, has urged the international media granted access to Tigray regional state to report accurately and truthfully, as well as professionally. The authority noted that international media should be governed by the country's broadcasting proclamation, the constitution, criminal laws, and other humanitarian provisions. Unless they abide by these, the authority will take corrective measures in order to ensure peace, sovereignty, and security of the country, it added. And the government of Ethiopia has granted 7 international media agencies, namely AFP, Al Jazeera, New York Times, France 24, Reuters, BBC, and Financial Times to report the situation in Tigray, where the law enforcement operation took place against the TPLF clique. I believe communication is key, and how you communicate things determine whether there's going to be peace, understanding, or war. And if we're careful, we'll be able to prevent the latter, which is war. But if we report the right things, we can get understanding right across the board. So Ethiopia is urging the international reporters to actually respect the laws they have there and report accurately, truthfully, and professionally. Don't incite anything they're putting out there. Well, finally, we're reading from the Seychelles Nation newspaper in Seychelles, and the headline says, Education Minister categorically denies false malicious statements made by United Seychelles. Minister for Education Justin Valentin yesterday categorically denied allegations made by the president of the United Seychelles political party, Patrick Hemini, who claimed during the party's press conference held yesterday morning that Dr. Valentin and the ministry are refusing jobs and contract renewals to competent and qualified Seychelles employees at the Education Ministry. According to Dr. Valentin, the allegations made by Dr. Hemini are false, unjustified, and malicious, and not well-founded. We see this as a false allegation. It is untrue and false, and it's an accusation that has been made to mislead Seychelles. I think it's important that we reject this accusation and tell the people that this is not true. It is a complete lie, as the ministry has not stopped anyone from working, Minister Valentin has said. Now, as the Minister for Education, I have the mandate to oversee education, and we have been instructed that as long as possible, ensure that everyone remains in employment. My mandate is to ensure that people remain in employment, especially during these difficult times. And at any point, has anyone been asked or informed that there will be a redundancy or that anyone will be fired? Well, that is the story coming from the Seychelles Nation newspaper in Seychelles. I mean, not really exciting, but I believe it's a good thing he's come out to debunk the allegations against him, but we believe that the right things will be done. If there's any truth in them, it should be followed up. If it's all, like he's saying, allegations and false claims, then he should be made to come and apologize for making such comments.